What does the future hold for Max Verstappen and Red Bull Racing? The greatness of Red Bull's Max Verstappen is undeniable. With his 3 world championships and numerous impressive records and achievements, he has set the standard for any inspiring future Formula One drivers. His dominance over the last few years continued well into the 2024 season, with Verstappen's campaign culminating in 7 wins out of the first 10 rounds. This Sunday, Formula One was in his home country, with the Dutch Grand Prix on the Zandvoort circuit, with him being the winningest team on this track until now for this decade, snatching 3 pole positions and 3 victories over the last 4 years. However, unfortunately, Verstappen came short, with the expectations and pressures mounting and many fans disappointed with his second place position. Will this impact Verstappen's chances in winning the championship? If so, what does the future hold for Max and Red Bull? The disasters seem to be compiling over at Red Bull with no improvement in sight. This has, as previously stated, impacted Max's performance significantly. On the road to Zandvoort, he finished the first free practice in 2nd position, while finishing the 2nd free practice at a relative low of 5th place. As for the 3rd free practice, Max was noted for failing to follow the race director's instructions after appearing to run over the white line at the pit exit in the late dash, as the home hero placed 17th. This year, for the first time, Verstappen lost the pole position going into Zandvoort, which was earned by another driver, one Lando Norris, who as of now, a couple of hours ago, went on to defeat Verstappen, who was in the 2nd place with a margin of almost 23 seconds. This is almost unheard of in recent times. It's also notable to mention that over the last 5 races, Max has seen the podium only twice, with 0 wins to his name. The drop-off in performance over the last few races cannot be entirely put on Max, as Red Bull seems to have their own problems. Last year, Max went into Zandvoort with a commanding lead of 125 points in the Drivers' Championship, while Red Bull had an overwhelming 256-point advantage in the Constructors' Championship. This year, however, Verstappen has a lead of 78 points over McLaren's Lando Norris, with Red Bull having only a 42-point lead over McLaren, a staggering over 200-point difference from last year. Looking at the RB20, it's had less than ideal outcomes this year, with Red Bull's long-standing position as the owner of the fastest car was challenged by McLaren and even Mercedes. Adding to this a couple of problems, starting from earlier in the season where teams complained about a part in the RB20. Until the Chinese GP, the RB20 had an inertial valve on the braking system section at the rear downstream of the brake-by-wire system. In short, it seems to have helped with the handling of the RB20. This part was removed seemingly around the time of the Miami GP, after which the struggles of Red Bull were exacerbated. The balancing problems with the RB20 soon became apparent, and the dwindling results followed. There is also the mid-season FIA regulations, with changes made to braking rules, specifically Article 11.2.1, which now states, the braking system must be designed so that, within each braking circuit, the forces applied to the brake pads are of the same magnitude and act as opposite pairs on a specific brake disc. Any system or mechanism that can systematically or intentionally produce asymmetric braking torques on a given axis is prohibited. Although the FIA claims that no team has been found to be breaking this rule, it seems awfully suspicious that these changes were made with the wording being very specific and the timing implying otherwise. It's likely that these changes were made after it came to light that Red Bull was using an exploit to gain an advantage. This, of course, does not mean that they were cheating. With the established superiority of Red Bull seemingly dwindling, the team came through with a highly anticipated upgrade package for the Hungarian GP. However, it's also no secret that the promised upgrades to the RB20 were disappointing, with both their star racer Max Verstappen and Red Bull director Helmut Marko expressing their frustrations. Marko admitted Red Bull's upgrades, which included a new side pod and engine cover package for Budapest, have unbalanced the RB20. In an interview, it stated, "At the start of the season, we had a car that was as balanced as the McLaren is now. It could handle all the tracks and all conditions. Then we took a wrong turn somewhere. they made the car more and more unpredictable. It became more and more difficult to set it up and balance it. He even went so far as to say that the RB20 has become a bitch that only one man, Verstappen, can tame. Helmut calling the RB20 a female dog is insane, but his point stands. It seems that the RB20 has, in fact, become an unbalanced and very map-dependent car, something Red Bull has managed to avoid in recent times prior. Meanwhile, the upgrade was described as not good enough by Max. Finishing off the race in 5th place, the world champion declared, "With all those upgrades, it's still not good enough. I do feel frustrated about that. 'Cause I had hoped it would have brought a bit more." He also added, "Everything's working, but not the steps we want to make. I think it's just really hard to find a good balance. It's very easy to go over and then you immediately lose quite a lot of them." But even then, Verstappen's results are notably up on his teammate Sergio Perez's, with the Mexican driver scoring 20 points in last 4 races to Verstappen's 58. Indeed, Perez, under the heavy pressure, has been performing subpar at best, and at worst, a man who's trying to get a one-way ticket to Mexico. In the midst of growing tensions, some news outlets reported that Max harbors real frustration over the poor performance of the team's upgrades, including the package they brought to Hungary. Verstappen feels as if he's not been listened to over the ride quality issues, with the RB20 contributing to harsh words being exchanged with the team on radio. Before his 200th race, Max, in an interview, has expressed his concerns about the Zandvoort GP. It looks like also there are many more teams involved that can actually win a race, so for sure I'm not coming into this weekend saying that we're going to win the race. I just want to have a clean weekend, understand the car a bit more, learn from it. He also followed up stating that it would not be harder for him to accept defeat in Zandvoort over anywhere else, and that he does not expect this year's championship to be as easy as last year, adding, "You just have to be realistic." With the race unraveling and Verstappen losing his winning streak in his home country, the future seems uncertain. It's highly likely that in the upcoming 2025 season, that Red Bull decides to replace Sergio Perez and have alongside Max a new driver. Some of the possibilities include RB drivers Yuki Tsunoda and Daniel Ricciardo, or even 22-year-old phenom Liam Lawson. All this if they manage to keep Verstappen in the first place. Currently, the 26-year-old is signed to a contract that extends all the way to 2028. However, the future is uncertain if this trajectory continues and Max possibly loses the championship. This being said, let us know what you think. Does the Zandvoort Grand Prix mark the end of Max Verstappen and Red Bull's domination? Do you think Red Bull are poised to lose the Constructors' Championship? And most importantly, how long does Max Verstappen have left with Red Bull if they decide not to improve their car? We want to hear your opinions down below in the comment section. Don't forget to like, subscribe and turn on the notification button if you enjoyed the video, and stay tuned for more similar Formula 1 content.